I have a confession.
Tell me everything.
So Alex and I are literally talking about what we hide when we start recording these podcasts. And I'm going to actually show mine for a second. So, dear listener, if you're watching the YouTube, you can see as I move my camera, all the garbage out of frame.
A pile of stuff.
Just the pile of stuff. I dropped my bed really, really low. And I just pull it all on the end of the bed so that nobody sees anything. And my desk actually doesn't look too crazy right now, which is a nice for a change. But
I'm like, mine does.
Yeah, but it usually is just like stacks and piles of just paperwork. But I just finished doing all my tax stuff for the week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just joined this thing called Cash Club, which I really like. So we get together. So it's like $49 for the month, and we essentially just get together and sit on Zoom together and force each other to do our taxes together once a month.
That sounds awesome for you.
Yes. So we just get together, and then one of the bookkeepers, who's like a QuickBook bookkeeper, she stays on it at the same time and answers questions that you have while you do your books.
Is this like a meetup?
Yeah. Well, it's not a meetup. No, it's a group. So you pay to be in it.
You have to share the link because when I Googled Cash Club, I found a high school investment club.
No,
and I know
it's kind of like a secret group. It's part of it's a group you kind of had to be invited into, but I will put the link in there.
Well, I was like, you just invited all of us, Sybil. You can't hold out now.
It's mostly made up of like salon owners and beauty people, and I do appreciate it because people ask questions. They're like, so if I did use a personal card and I put my business expenses on it, how do I do that? And they're like, you're not supposed to be doing that. And we're like, yes, but like we all do it anyways. So like, what are we supposed to do?
Actually, I do got to do that because I accidentally did it this week too. So then I got to go make an invoice for myself, right?
Yeah, you do an invoice for yourself, or you can actually stick it on as you can have within your QuickBooks, you can actually have like an owner expense line or something. So you can throw in as like an owner expense line and put it as that. But it's probably easier just to invoice yourself and go back and forth.
I pay for a bookkeeping coach as well.
Yeah.
And so what she has me do is do the line item so I get the credit for that expense.
Yeah.
And then so if it's like, basically to cancel it out, I do exactly that
yes.
owner's expense kind of thing.
Yeah, you just want to cancel it out.
Submit, and I feel like I'm so advanced.
Well, essentially it's like petty cash. So you just like pull it out as petty cash. Or if you worked for a company, think of it as I put it on my personal credit card and then I had to submit the receipt and the company had to pay me back. So essentially it's like the same thing. I had to do that recently because I just did. So guys, here you go. If you have a new credit card and you're trying to make a spend on it, and what that means is you're trying to get one of the bonuses for creating this spend on a credit card, like you want to get, $2,000, $3,000 spend, you can easily do that with a business. So you might want to use your personal card to make, say, a $2,000, $3,000 purchase very quickly. And so I just did that with 3 new credit cards that I opened with my business, with their personal credit cards.
Okay. Well, we clearly need to do a credit card. I would say churning, but I don't know if that's the right word.
Yeah. Like we could do credit. I mean, Sybil could talk about credit cards and how you use credit cards and maximize credit cards for.
Your advice literally saved me $400 a month on interest on this credit card journey. So y'all, she knows what she's talking about. But today we're not talking about that. We're talking about
I understand credit cards better than even my financial manager asked me questions about credit cards. Like he dropped me an email once and was like, what would you do in this situation? I'm like, oh, I do this and this.
Well, we will have to do an episode about that. Perhaps our next episode. Let's talk about how to leverage credit cards for your business.
Good idea. All right, everyone, let's get this party started. Hi, I'm Sybil Sullen. I'm an esthetician and spa owner.
And hi, I'm Alex Ellis. I'm a body nerd and wellness expert, and we are business besties.
And bosses, running your own business is hard.
But we're terrible employees, so we're figuring it out.
I've already figured it all out, but we promise to share everything we know about what it takes to make 6 figures and beyond.
And be brutally honest about what works and what totally sucks.
I'll be honest, a bunch of it totally sucks, but let's get started.
Welcome back to Skinfessional. On today's show, we're talking about life and really how life is different for you now and what's not going back to normal.
But more importantly, we're talking to you about how your business has changed for the better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're year 793.
Yeah. like
into
into COVID, and yeah, we're deep into it. And I actually, people keep asking me like, how is my 2022 going? And I keep telling them, I just am trying to not get like knifed in the yard. I just want to know what's
yeah.
coming for me. And
Yeah.
that's really how I feel about 2022.
Yeah. And I feel like if you also are just like, I don't want to fucking talk about this right now, we're not talking about it in that way, because our goal for today is to really like, again, reflect on what is working, like what are the bonuses, like what are the good things that have come out of this very stressful time, and how we
Yeah.
can take that information and continue to build our businesses better and more resilient than they were before.
Yeah, because we forget sometimes that good things often come out of like strife. The things that
Mhm.
happen, it's like Darwinism. Bad things have to happen for, things to evolve and grow and get better. So
Mhm.
Alex and I kind of sat down and I'm like, what is coming? What has kind of changed in our businesses and our life that has been pushed forward that we would have, we get kind of lazy in our business and we just get like, well, this is how we do it. And it's just great. It's fine. And we just let it like lie. But when, strife happens or trauma happens or things happen in our business and you have to think differently, you have to kind of shift sideways, then you have to look at your business differently. And, kind of like magic sometimes happens and it can feel uncomfortable. Like you're like, this doesn't fit right. I don't really like it. But as you sit in it, you're like, actually, I've kind of like gotten used to this and I've made it better. And I kind of like how this is working now.
Yeah, 100%. And I think too, not just of like, nitty gritty and numbers and things like that, but also like you are different as a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that for each of us.
Mm-hmm.
And the stress of the pandemic, right? At first it was just like, oh, this fucking sucks. And then I know many people have their own personal crises and trauma in all different shades. And so I think, a big takeaway for me, and one I want to kind of like frame this conversation with as well, is like, how are you showing up differently in your business as well? Because you are changed. We are all changed from this. And maybe that means, tolerating less bullshit, putting up with
Mm-hmm.
like less of those clients who really, really test your boundaries and push your buttons because you just don't have anything else to give for them after, taking care of yourself and your family and all of those things. And so I think that, to me, at least as far as like a takeaway from the last 793 years, um, is like what actually matters for
Yeah.
me, and
Yeah.
staying true to that, which has also meant that like there's a lot of shit like I just don't worry about anymore because I don't have the energy
Yeah.
nor the fucks to give,
Yeah. There's no space. There's less space to be
Yeah.
stressing about things that you're like, I just can't care about that. I can't care about, whether my social looks perfect. So one of the things I've noticed is that
Yeah.
social media, people don't have like these like beautiful pages anymore. You know why? Because it doesn't matter. People don't care. Like that's not what matters anymore. You know what
That
matters,
shit was hard.
right? People care about reality. Like
Yeah.
they want real information and grit.
That's actually exactly what I was thinking about, because something that a standard I held myself to for the longest time was making sure that I had a post every single day. And that was like a big stressor of like having to make sure you get your posts out and this and that. And like a lot of it was garbage. Like I'd be the first to say. And so now I only post if I have something to say. And that to me feels so much more authentic. And, you could be like, oh, but the algorithm and like, and I don't care. I
Nope,
don't care.
nope, absolutely. The other thing that I think has come out and I've noticed that as I've talked to estheticians, is that people's availability has changed, whether what they're allowing themselves to kind of be available. Whereas we used to, as estheticians, kind of bend over backwards, or even maybe you, Alex, you like would be like available for people. It's just like, yeah, I can change that at time, or I can move around, or I can, just your availability to be for people is just less. And some of
Yeah.
it is because we're afraid to be for people. And some of it is just, you're just like, yeah, I can't be for you because I'm being for myself now.
Hmm.
And so I have you're kind of creating more strict boundaries about your time and your life. And I think the people around you are accepting those boundaries a little bit easier.
Yeah. I mean, that is a huge one. There's so much more where I'm just like, oh, okay, but COVID, like something we were talking about before we started recording of like a difference. And this may not be just related to your business. Again, like thinking like, how am
Hmm.
I different? I really like the everything but the bagel seasoning from Trader Joe's. Could I make it my own? Of course, but it's good. It's delicious, and I'm out. But Trader Joe's also doesn't carry, the oat milk that I like or the gluten free bread I like. So I got to go to a different grocery store, and I was like, I'm not going to go to 4 grocery stores just to get all the stuff I need because I'm tired and I
Yeah.
don't have the emotional capacity to do that nonsense anymore. So then I'm like at home and I'm like, you know what? I forgot, but there's a small business, a woman owned business that started before the pandemic called Balance Bites. Diane Sanfilippo, she is a paleo cookbook author. You might have some of her cookbooks. You're familiar with
Yeah,
her,
I
right?
do. I do.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah. And her seasoning blends were always just like top notch. And I was like, oh, I could buy it from her. If you know me, this will come as a shock to you. I didn't even balk at the fact that I paid $9.95 for shipping because I was like, whatever, shipping's expensive, it's COVID, and I would rather give her my money than a big corporation because I know how difficult it's been for small businesses to stay afloat and like literally every order can make a difference.
It's true.
So, maybe something like that too, of just like how you shop or how you spend your time. I feel like time feels so much more both simultaneously like irrelevant and also important
It's
in
valuable. It's
how you're
become
spending it.
value. It's become a higher
Yeah.
value item, I think. Time I think was always valuable to me, but it's become such a higher value item. Like the quality of that time.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
quality of the time has become like we've like a bunch of us have had all this time, but the time has not been per se good time.
No.
So now you're like, I need to make the time that I have every moment that I can make a quality piece of time, everything that I can do for myself that makes it valuable and quality is worth it to me.
Hmm.
This idea of self-care has become actually a real thing. Whereas before it used to be like self-care, like that's just things that people do to make themselves, feel like those are like rich people things and like foo-foo things. Now people are like, bitch, I need my self-care. Like this me time
Hmm.
thing, it's for real.
I mean, honestly, I feel like so much of that has to do with the stress of existing right
Mhm.
now, and your nervous system and your capacity to be able to tolerate the bullshit of your family and your clients is so taxed because we're all just so exhausted. And so self care, which used to feel like a luxury, like, oh, I could do it, now, like, without it, I can't sleep. And then I'm not eating well. And then I don't feel well. And then I can't show up and do my job. And it's no longer negotiable, you know?
Right. It's stopping you from breaking, from having like
Yeah.
literally a mental break.
Yeah, 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 yep,
Yeah.
yep, 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 yep.
Right.
And also, I mean, this literally, I'm reading Oprah's book right now called "What Happened to You." It's with her and this guy, Dr. Bruce, and I'm gonna say this guy, like he's like a world renowned child psychologist or something. Like he's big shit. Um, Before that, I get into the book, I also want to say they recorded their conversations and then someone transcribed it and then it became a New York Times bestselling book. So if ever you think that you have to do something a certain way for it to work, lies, just do the thing. Okay. This book is great. I'm like, this is a lazy ass book, but the content is good. It's so, so good. But when you are in a stressed state, your ability to like rationally think is compromised. It's literally physically, neurobiologically impossible. And so, whatever you have to do to stay in a place where you can retain your sense of calm, if you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, I've never had that. Like whatever you have to do to stay there at this time and place, I feel like is even more important. And your business will suffer because of it. If you're an asshole to everybody who comes in your doors, guess what? They're not going to stick around. So if that means you have to take off Fridays so that you can just decompress once a week, so that you can be the person you want to be in your business, that's not being careless or lazy. That's literally what you have to do to like keep showing up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So vital. So vital. And I actually just wrote down the line that beauty is on the front line right now. So, we don't
Mhm.
think about the fact that what we do is like a necessary item, but what we're doing right now is a necessary thing.
Mhm.
And your people come to you, and it used to be that, I know that for me, I have people that would come to me and they'd be like, well, I'm coming for touch. And I would have people, they're just coming for touch. And like, I just want to be touched. Especially it would be like older people, because at some point they would live alone or they just weren't being touched anymore. That it was a way they weren't being serviced. Now it's everyone. Everyone is not getting that touch anymore. They have this like distance between everyone. And so this is something that, for me, I've moved so much of my business even heavier into a touch service. And I was already moving that way, but the pandemic has made it even more of a touch industry. I've moved even farther away from kind of the WYSIWYG machines and stuff, because people are like, I don't want that. I don't care. It's not about lifting and firming, whatever. I'm just here to lie here and get my touch on.
Right. Well, it's, regulation for them and their nervous system. And it's even, again, like we can't show up and serve that to people if we're not doing it for ourselves first.
Right.
So like, that's my high horse and I refuse to get off of it. I'm
that's
like,
right.
Take care of yourself, please.
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things is we've talked about this in a couple other episodes, is that I moved my people to starting to pay in advance.
Yeah.
And this was a huge game changer. And I did this strictly because it was necessary. I was like, this is something that's necessary. I have very little time. I need to get people in and out the door. And I need them to just be done. And so I had them pay in advance and I included the tip because everything just had to be done. And my clients have taken it on and loved it. I've moved some of my other business consult clients into doing this, and their clients have loved it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say,
oh, go ahead.
I would say that if you are on the fence about this, try it. You might find you love it too.
Yeah. And it just back to my point again of like, executive function and being stressed out. It's one less thing people have to decide. How much am I going to tip? What am I going to pay? They get to walk in and just experience it and then be done and go home.
And walk away. And it's all taken care of. It's just managed. And they don't have to worry about like upsell. They don't have to worry about upselling. They don't have to think about anything. People don't want to think right now. They just want to come in, receive, take in, and then leave.
Yeah.
Right. And so much of our industry is about like, can I upsell them this? Can I get them on this? Can I do? No, that's not what it's about. It's about their time, their experience, and then they get to go home and just like enjoy that. That's it.
And then also you have a better idea of how much money you're actually going to make. Yes. Because also, let's talk about cancellation policies. How have you been with your cancellation policy?
So
especially with people paying in advance.
Yeah. So my cancellation policies have been really firm. So I have 3 days. People can cancel within 3 days. Now, of course, if you're afraid you have COVID or like whatever, I have a cancellation policy that you can move your appointment one time. After that, I will take 50% from you. So you think you have COVID, I will still take 50% from you if you've done this to me before.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, not sorry. It's just how it is. Mm-hmm. Like I got to run a business. Don't care.
Well, they need to be more careful.
Yeah. And so, this is the thing. And so I just went down to Los Angeles and I worked, and we're surging. Everyone was surging. And most of my clients, if they were concerned, they contacted me 3 days before. Because guess what? If you were concerned 3 days before. You weren't just concerned the day of. And we're like, I just got concerned. No, you were concerned before. I did have one person who was like, my kid came home and she had been playing, and they called me up and said that they think that she was in contact with somebody. Are you concerned? I'm like, I am concerned. I'm being extra cautious. Please don't come in. I will move your appointment and your money. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I mean, it's like case by case and being protective of everyone. And I think a strict cancellation policy allows you to have more of that nuance for those like one-offs as well.
But as soon as you are very clear on what your cancellation policy is and you are very firm about it with somebody else, they understand that you're taking it seriously, and therefore they take it very seriously as well. And once they've paid money and their money is gone, they're like, okay, that money has been paid. They're also taking that cancellation policy very seriously because like that money is gone. 2, they kind of have skin in the game at this point, and they're like, my money is gone. If I do have to cancel, it's kind of the money is out of the picture now. Now it's just a negotiation of how this is going. Mm-hmm. Right? This is just a negotiation.
I mean, I totally prefer to pay in advance because then again, it's just like you got skin in the game, it's taken care of, and then you don't have to think about it.
Yeah. So I know this is a weird thing, but once again, we talked about this one of our last episodes. every single person pays for other stuff up front. We are one of the few industries that you don't pay for your stuff up front. And so just change the idea. Within a year, if everyone's doing this, it just becomes standard.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes the new policy, and that's just how it is.
Yeah. I mean, I personally, I would not be weird. I'm more weirded out to pay after a service is delivered than I am to pay up front.
Right. Like you even said, you're like, so are you going to change the price on me? Is this going to be a bait and switch? 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you paid up front, you're like, we know how much it is. We all understand what's going on here.
Yeah, totally. Excuse me, I'm choking on myself over here. What about your prices? Because I know, and we've talked about this as well, but like, is that something you feel like this is it? This is what the price is going to remain?
No, absolutely not. Prices will always probably go up, but I've
Or they're
raised
not coming back down?
they're not coming back down. They're probably not going to back down. I was going to ask you, Alex. So you run a business that you're online, and
Yep.
your business is not per se dependent that much on kind of exterior things because it's
Mm-hmm.
just you. Have
Mm-hmm.
you raised your prices?
Yeah, I actually just raised, and this is something you and I talk about all the time, but I raised my price for new students in this current enrollment period. And actually, what's really interesting is, and we've talked about this with pricing too, of like having a contrast
Mm-hmm.
with the higher price items. So I moved my price up to $97 a month. But if you want to do it and you do annual, your actual monthly cost is only $75 a month. And I have two new people on the annual rate. So my brain is like, oh, it's two new people. I'm like, yeah, but they just paid for a whole year
Yeah,
up front. And that's freaking great because now we can actually make the change and actually work together. So, yeah, raise your prices. I mean, all you need is one person to buy at that new price. And then you know that that price is good.
exactly. Exactly. And that is also something that's important is when you are raising your prices like that, do consider the fact that you might be a little stressed about it, but right now especially like I just read a thing that inflation went up 7%
Oof.
like just last month, and that's not including the other inflation that's already gone up. I think it's gone up 12% within like 2021 it went up 20 like 12%, and that's if you're eating all that cost that's not working out for you. Like you are going to fall behind. You can't raising raising in small increments is easier on people than just being like, okay, everything's up $150, which I've
Yeah,
done
absolutely.
and it's so much harder on people. Small increments is much easier. It's less
Mhm.
hurtful to people.
I mean, even because we were talking about like Starbucks just raises their prices. They don't make a big hullabaloo about it. I mean, even, yeah, my husband's barber, he's like, oh, I'm raising my prices. And then, oh, because I have more kids. And I'm like, just raise your price. Just
Don't
raise
say
it.
why, just raise your price.
Just raise your price.
I'm not paying for my boat, whatever. Just raising your price. It's just how it is. We're just raising our prices go up, and if you don't like the price you can go down the street. You're not
Yeah.
mechanic anymore.
It's so true. Um, and honestly, too, like if you're thinking of like, oh, but I need to justify my price, you don't. But if your brain says you do, think of, the extra time it takes you for cleaning. Think about the cost of your rental, the cost of your products, even the cost of shipping of those products is now
Shipping,
all higher because shipping is ridiculously expensive now.
shipping is brutal.
Think of, I mean, the cost of all of your materials has gone up too. So that higher price isn't just because you're a greedy bastard. It's because everything is more expensive and you are trying to continue to maintain a profit margin that makes sense for you.
Right. And it's also you're trying to earn a living wage that helps you. So it's not even just your business, it's you. So it's your food, your gas, your heating, your kids' schooling, it's your clothes, it's all of the things. It's not just your business. So if you're like, well, I mean, my business was doing okay. No, it's all of the stuff. It's everything. And everything's going up in price. We're all being like just pummeled with it. And once again, those items are probably not going down either.
No.
It's
Although
all
your
going up.
internet, that is negotiable, I have learned.
Yeah, I mean, to some degree, some of the things are negotiable, but most of it is not. So
No, you're not
the
going to see
price
me
is
at
the
the fucking
price.
gas station trying to negotiate my price down. I just pay the
What
price.
my 4.59 for gas? What
Oh, I
4.59
know.
a gallon? Oh my god, what?
It's so expensive.
So one of the other things that I've done is I've leaned my business like
Yeah,
a ton, like just like
same.
super streamlined it. Gotten rid of a bunch of the fat, and I mean I always assumed that I ran a pretty lean business, but I definitely had pieces in there that I was just like, well, I mean, yeah, I have extra inventory on my shelves and it's fine. And I do this and it's fine. I have some of that and it's fine. No, now I'm like, no, that's not fine. Like I cut, slice, dice. If it's not serving me, it's gone, gone, gone. Because there is no extra space. There's zero
Mm-hmm.
space right now because at any moment I could be out of business. I could have to shut down and I need all of that. I need all of that extra money. I need all of that
Yeah.
extra space. Um,
Which Oh no, I was gonna say it also makes me think too. This was another item on our list, but cutting the fat products and
yeah.
having products on your shelves. Drop shipping is something I know that
Yeah,
you've
and
been doing.
so I
Actually,
was
I'm
going to go
really
to, and
proud
so one of
too.
the things on that is my product. So much of us, we have products. So Alex, do you have t-shirts still left sitting around?
No, so unfortunately, yes. But actually, I was just thinking. So people were requesting a new design, and I was like, "Oh, that's really great." And then I was like, "I'm not printing those. I'm going to use one of those websites where we
Yeah,
can just like put the design on some stuff, and we have a campaign, and they can buy in that period of time, and then it's gone and done."
right. So one of the things that happens is for me, I actually was just having a conversation with one of my esthetician friends that she has her own product line, and we share actually share one of the distributors for this product line. And I had a conversation with her, and I was like, I'm looking for somebody who's going to drop ship for me. Currently, I carry my own product line, but I'm like, I need to get rid of it because I need to do only drop shipping for the future. You carry a line that I carry. I know that you're looking at like moving into drop shipping because she's becoming bigger. She's looking at becoming very large. This is what she did. She just opened a boutique. This is where she's moving to the future. I'm not looking at becoming a national distributor of skincare.
Right.
And so I had a conversation. I was like, can you start drop shipping? And she's like, I'm looking into that. I'm like, can you look into it quicker? And so we had a whole conversation about it. And yeah, that's what she's working on towards quicker. This is the stuff. If I am moving away from any product line that's not drop shipping for me, because I don't want to keep inventory on my shelf.
Mm-mm.
Understand for yourself if you're like, but I don't make as much money with drop shipping or I don't make as much money with affiliations. You lose money every moment product is on your shelf.
Yeah, especially
You
because you have a product that can go bad.
you have a product that can go bad. You have as somebody who lost $59,000 in product in 2020. You can lose money for product that's sitting on your shelf. You can lose product because it's just not moving off your shelf. You can lose money because the product has gotten damaged on your shelf. You've lost it because it got lost, literally. It like walked away. There's all kinds of reasons.
That's
Whereas
the
if
most
it comes
annoying
from the
one.
distributor, it probably makes it to, I'm going to say 95% of it makes it to the place it's supposed to go. There is always about a 5% for loss. And we have a whole episode on inventory and how to manage that for shipping.
Yeah. Well, and also if it doesn't make it, it's no longer your sole
No, it is
responsibility.
still a whole percent of your responsibility if you do drop shipping.
No, no, I just mean you have someone else. You can be like, where the hell is my product? Like, get this figured out. And then,
It is still 100% your responsibility if you do drop shipping. That is 100% not true. If you are drop shipping, as soon as that leaves the warehouse, it is now your responsibility, is not the shipper's.
so even if it gets lost and all of that?
Yes, 100% is your responsibility.
Whoa, I
Do
didn't
not
know
listen to
that.
Alex. Once that product
Well, listen,
leaves
Alex.
the warehouse, it is now your responsibility and yours alone. What happens to that? It's not the drop shippers.
Is that in your dropshipping contract?
That is within almost every drop shipper's contract.
Wow. I mean, that
Look
makes
at your
perfect
fine
sense.
print. Look at your fine print.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's usually almost every drop shipper has that fine print in their stuff. They're like, "Hi, we'll ship it for you, but it's your responsibility once it leaves our warehouse."
Right.
Mhm.
Makes sense. I mean, speaking of product too, having product and having a business that can run and exist, whether or not you can see people, being able to write out closures, because like,
Mhm.
y'all, this is not the end of this. So having some insurance, so to speak, of a way to continue to make money, whether you are touching people or not, is fantastic.
Yeah, having this alternate thing. So I know for some people, and they started an online store, and
Yeah.
this was really important. I know that for some estheticians, they finally started that online store. Now, for some
Woo-hoo.
people, right, and for some people, that's overwhelming and that's too much, right? But anything that you can do that's going to kind of help you step away from the need to, as Alex and I have talked about before, do like what do you always call it? Like money for time.
Yeah, you're trading dollars for time.
Dollars for time, trading dollars for time. as in our industry, we know that we make so much more money on product sales because that's, you can make $550 on 3 seconds of a
Mm-hmm.
conversation. Just like,
Mm-hmm.
here, this is what I recommend. Yay, products are made. And then those products continue to sell, whether you're doing anything or not. They just sell in the background. But they'll sell in the background better if you have them online. And that's, I know for me, how I made a lot of my money in 2020. It's just online sales.
Yeah. I mean, also your facial club. I just joined it, you guys. I know I took a long time, but I did my facial this week and it was freaking amazing. That's a way to get product off your shelves into the hands of your clients and people who may not be your client to see you in person, but still want to get the benefit of your experience and your, I would say tutelage. And I have no idea why that word came to mind because I
Which is great. I love
literally
it.
never use that word.
That's wonderful. And plug for a future show, we are going to be talking about memberships again. We have talked about it before, but we will be talking about it again. So I'm
Yeah.
very excited about this because I've been thinking about my future membership. So that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go ahead and talk about the emotional tax of being in the pandemic and like what that takes, because Alex had some really good things to say about the emotional tax of this all, because I think this is the hardest piece for us to like manage and kind of like deal with. And if you've been like listening to this episode and thinking to yourself, I don't have anything good that's come out of this, this is where you get to sit and think, no, maybe I have.
Yeah.
Maybe I
Well,
have.
and we've definitely touched upon it, which is where we started and framed the conversation. But I
Right.
think, talking again about the clients that you're willing to see and the clients that you will no longer tolerate,
Yes.
we do have businesses that allow us to choose who we work with and who we don't. And so when you have those people who come in and they're just freaking needy and hard and just like obnoxious, you can make it so they quit.
Right. They're not your clients. They're not your clients.
Yeah.
Really getting clear for me, I think that a lot of the people, because of this pandemic, a lot of those people they just self-selected anyways. And they're just like, bye, I'm not your person anyways. You either raise your prices or you weren't for me or like whatever. They kind of self-selected. But I think as a business owner, you hopefully have looked around and thought to yourself, you know what, I don't have space, I don't have time. And if you haven't, this is where I'm going to encourage you to really sit down with yourself and think to yourself, one of the wonderful things that's going to come out of this is that I am going to really set strict boundaries, think about what I really want, and go for that and that. One thing that I really want to do is I just want to encourage you to make sure you leave this year where you are very happy with every single client on your book
Mm-hmm.
and every hour that you work.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I mean, it's a very simple thing in theory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had a client this weekend who I realized, so they subscribed at my lowest membership that has like no touch. Okay. And I remember too that they were difficult when they signed up. They had issues with signing up that required me to get involved. I made a mistake, so I gave them like 2 free months because I messed up. And then every time they had to log in, there was always an issue with it, no matter how many times I reset the password or whatever. So I got an email like Saturday afternoon, like, well, I can't get in. And then I get another email, I can't get in. And I didn't respond. And I just let it sit because I was like, I'm not working. I'm out of town. This is not life or death. It can wait. And then she canceled. And I said, thank God. Goodbye. And so I did. I responded back and like, just by the way, you have access through the end of this prepaid period. And I went and did this for you. And, oh, can you give me a little bit more information so I could look into this a little bit more? And she was going on and on about how great the customer care was, but it wasn't right for her. And I'm like, cool. Awesome. Thank you for self-selecting and moving on. So sometimes even just like having your boundaries and holding people to that, it doesn't have to be, I don't have to say, I'm holding you to a boundary, I'm not responding. I can just not respond until it is business hours. And that's fine. So yeah, I think stepping away from more of our people pleasing tendencies and turning that attention inwards, because the emotional tax is very high from the last 2 years. It's like we were all stressed before, but like you're fucking stressed now. I mean, there's no way. There's no way you can exist now and not be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that brings up a really good point that we didn't really talk about, but one of the things that also happened for me is that I did add a few little more automations into my life, which you already have a ton of these, but I did add a few more in just to kind of help that kind of like boundary and that like keeping up my really good customer care, but that I could kind of step back a little bit and kind of like walk away from my business a little bit more. And if you out there have not done those things, and it doesn't have to be as much as maybe Alex does, where she's got literally bots that do all the work for her. If that's a little scary, that's okay. But even just like having, the auto emails that go out in response when people are like, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of you, and you have that auto email responder. It's the weekend. I'm going to get back to you on, these are my hours, and I'll get back to you, on the weekdays. Just something as simple as that. Or making sure that you update your voicemail so it doesn't say you're on vacation, or it says that you're on vacation when you're on vacation. Things like that just help the customer care. Just the small things, that help.
Yeah,
but
totally.
Making sure that you really do have that extra level of customer care, because right now people, they're I'm going to say that their tethers are shorter than usual.
Everybody is. We're
Right?
all stressed.
They're just a little bit, and they love you. They love you. They love you. But they also are fucking mad as hell all the time. And they don't want to be mad at you, but they can't help it. They're just angry. They're just angry and upset. And all they want to do is they just want it to be easy for them.
Yep. So make them prepay. Keep it easy.
Yeah, they just want it to be easy. So can you just make it easy? And I know for myself, one of the things I did is I actually extended myself a little bit more via texting and stuff to my clientele, which I used to never text my clients. I'm like, I don't text. I don't do that. My thumbs are vital. I don't use I don't text to clients. And during the pandemic, I started texting clients, and I was more available to them because I have less of them.
Mm-hmm.
So less clients, more availability is what I did, because also, once again, my clients needed more touch.
Mm-hmm.
They just needed more contact.
People are lonely and mad.
Yeah, and so I made myself more available for them, but also I did decrease the number of clientele I had, and I increased the pricing.
Mm-hmm.
So
choices so the people who have stuck around are like the tried and true.
Yeah, choices were made. So you stick with me, and I give you more. I give you more care, and you pay for that care, but I can give it to you that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So definitely things to be thinking about, and we're curious too of like what you are thinking about. What changes have you made that you're actually sticking with? I'm a huge fan of the hybrid model. I hope things are forever online and in person, so I don't have to leave my house. But send us a DM, tag us on Instagram, let us know. You can find the show at Skinfessional. You can find Sybil at Skin Fitness Expert. You can find me at Hala for Mala, or you can leave us a voicemail and just drop it into our box.
Yes, that number is 818.
Slip on in.
I know, right? That's so naughty. That number is 818-473-5277.
Or if you want to send us an email, you could do that too. We got it all. We have all of them. You can send an email to skinfessionalpod@gmail.com. That's skinfessional like this show, POD @gmail.com.
Yeah. And if you really love the show, please make sure you share it with somebody. You can rate us and review us on all of the places like Apple Podcasts and all those places. Make sure you share us and do all the things, because, we like to know that you are listening and that you love us.
Yeah. And it totally helps the show as well. So if you want to support us, go do that.
Okay. All right, guys. Until next week.
Keep your secrets to yourself.
Unless you're telling us.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.